Welcome to Mr. R's art class. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thumbs, subs, and ring that bell. Okay, so for this project, we're going to go ahead and create a 3D color wheel, right? So we're going to use a reference that we're going to go ahead and download from Microsoft Teams. We're going to create our own 3D color wheel. So the reason why we're doing this project is so that we know what complementary colors are, right? Colors that are opposite from each other on the color wheel. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate around this shape here. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start with this color wheel in the background, and then we're going to create a second ring to put the complementary colors next to each other. So a complementary color is a color that's opposite of each other inside of the color wheel. So I have yellow up here on top, and the opposite color is violet. I have a red over here on the bottom left hand side, and then the opposite color of that is green on the top right hand side. So what I want us to do in this project is I want us to create two different rings, and we're going to put the complementary colors next to each other so that we know where those colors go on the color wheel. So the reason why we're creating a color wheel to begin with is so that we know how to create our own custom colors, right? You want to be able to stand out from each other. You want to be able to think differently, come up with your own custom colors when you're making your own artwork. And I want to show you how to do that by creating a color wheel. So if I go back up to 3D view, I'm going to show you how to create primary colors, which are these colors here in the middle. Right, so all colors come from primary colors. You have yellow, red, and blue. And if you combine red and yellow together, you got orange. And then if you get a yellow and a blue together, you create green. And then if you have a red and a blue together, you get violet. Right, so all the colors come from these primary colors. And then if you combine two primary colors together, you get a secondary color. Then you have something else called a tertiary color. Right, so this would be an example of a tertiary color here. So a tertiary color is when you combine a primary color and a secondary color together. So what we said here is that we had red, and then we have orange here, right? So orange already has some red inside of it, but if you add a little bit more red to that, you have a red orange, and that's how you get a tertiary color, right? So here's another example up here. Here's another example up here. Is that we have an orange and a yellow together, and orange already has yellow added into it, but when we add a little bit more yellow into it, we have a yellow orange. Okay, so whenever we're naming these tertiary colors, you're always calling it the primary color first. Okay, so down here we have a red violet, right? So violet already has red in it. So in order to create violet, we're combining that red and that blue together to get violet. And because violet already has a red in it, when we add a little bit more, we get a red violet, right? So whatever primary color we're adding a little bit more of into a color, that's the name of it that goes first when we're naming it, right? And same thing over here when we get a blue violet, right? So violet already has some blue added into it, right? But if we add a little bit more blue into violet, we get a blue violet. So in order to get a violet, we're combining red and blue together to get violet, and then we add a little bit more blue to it, and we have a blue violet. Over here is a blue green, So we're adding a little bit more blue into this green here, since green already has some blue inside of it, but when we add a little bit more blue, we get a blue green. Same thing with this yellow green, right? So it's kind of like a lime color. So in order to get green, we combine these two colors, which are yellow and blue, to get a green, and then we added a little bit more yellow into it, and that's why we have a yellow green. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and click on this colorwheel.png. This is going to be a reference or a resource that we're going to use and take it into Paint 3D. So we're going to go ahead and click on this ellipse and then scroll down to where it says download. And that's going to be saved in two different places. We want to be able to locate it in the downloads folder on our computer. So let's go down here to the File Explorer. And we're going to go up here to Downloads folder. There's the color wheel there. So we're going to go ahead and cut this and then paste it into its own project folder. So we're going to right click, scroll down to where it says Cut. And then on the left hand side here, we're going to go to Documents. The academic year we're currently in, the semester that we're currently in, the period that you have my class, and then we're going to go ahead and create a folder for this project here. So I'm going to right click, scroll down to New, and then we're going to go on up to Folder, and we're just going to call this a color wheel. And then we're going to go inside that folder, right click, and paste. And then we could also, since we're here already, we're going to right click and copy. And we're going to go into Paint 3D. We're going to go down to the bottom where it says type here to search. Click there. And we're going to type in Paint 3D. If it's not already showing up for you, go ahead and click on that. And we're going to go ahead and let Paint 3D load. Click on New. And then since that color wheel is already on our clipboard, we just have to go up here to the right hand side and paste. Alright, so here is our color wheel. We're going to work off of this. We're going to use some of the colors that are inside of this color wheel here. So we're going to click off of this color wheel. And then we're going to go up here to 3D shapes. We're going to use this third 3D doodle tool here. It's going to be called Sharp Edge tool. So we're going to click on that. We're also going to zoom in here first. So we're going to use a couple keys on our keyboard as well. If you're using your keyboard and your trackpad or your keyboard and your mouse, I'm holding down Alt, and I need to pan, so I'm just going to rotate around this canvas here. So I'm going to hold down Alt, and then the left side of my trackpad, the left side of my mouse, and I'm going to use that tool there, the Sharp Edge tool. And the way that this works is that all you have to do is just click at these corners here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to also click on this eyedropper tool and select that yellow, and I'm going to go back to my 3D tool, and then we're just going to click at these corners here. The way that this tool works is you just have to click at the corners, and you don't have to drag this tool, and you don't have to drag and click. You just have to click at each corner, and then you just have to go back to the spot that you finished here. So I finished there, and because we used the eyedropper tool to select that color yellow, it used that yellow for this 3D shape here. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate around this shape that we just made. I'm going to click over here where it says 3D view, so you can see what we're doing here. I'm also going to rotate around this holding down Alt and then the right side of my mouse. So you can see that this is actually off of the background. This is actually off of the sticker, the resource, the reference that we're using as a color wheel. So that's what we're trying to do. Is we're trying to create a 3D version of a color wheel. So I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to do the same thing with these other primary colors. So we're going to start with the primary colors here in the middle. I'm going to start with the primary colors here in the middle, and then we're going to work our way out to the secondary colors. Then we're going to create a second wheel around that wheel just by copying and pasting and then rotating it to put the complementary colors next to each other. Okay, so let's go ahead and zoom in again. Once we get to some of these secondary colors, we could actually just copy and paste a shape that we already created, but these shapes are a little bit different here from that first primary color that we started with. So we need to go back to the 3D doodle tool. Before you do that, you also want to color select to make it a little bit easier and to skip a step. So I'm going to go grab that 3D doodle tool, the Sharp Edge tool, and then you just have to click at the corners. So I'm clicking, letting go of my left mouse, clicking, letting go of the left side of my mouse or the trackpad, depending on what you're using. Right, and there we go. So that's the 3D version of that red color. Okay, so you can just click off of it. 3D shapes is already selected. Going back to color select, the blue tool there, Sharp Edge tool, grabbing these corners. You could have copy and pasted that red shape there if you wanted to. And we'll do that in a bit. So there are my three primary colors. Now we need to create these secondary colors. So the way that these secondary colors work is all your secondary colors come from your primary colors, right? So in order to make this secondary color, which is orange, you combine the red and the yellow together and make orange, right? And that makes a secondary color. And this example down here with the violet, you combine the red and the blue to make violet, right? And in order to make this secondary color green, you combine the yellow and the blue. So that's why those two colors together, and then this is outside of those two primary colors, right? In order to get a tertiary color, so in this example here on the left hand side that we can see, a tertiary color is combining a primary color and a secondary color together. And then whichever primary color you're adding a little bit more to, that's going to give you the name of that tertiary color. So in this example, we have red-orange. So we're combining red and orange together to get a red-orange. Now orange already has red in it, but because we're adding a little bit more red into it, right, it looks a little bit more red, that's why it's called red-orange. and that's why that's a tertiary color. Okay, so let's go and get started on these secondary colors. Again, you could use the same method that we've been using. I'm going to go ahead and click off of this blue shape since it's selected. I'm going to hold down Alt so I could pan up here. I'm going to go up here down to my eyedropper tool first. So you want to select the colors. Then you want to go to the sharp edge. This is a triangle, so we just have to grab the 3 corners there. Alright, there we go. So since it's the same shape, again, what you could do is you could right click and copy and right click and paste, and then all we have to do is rotate this shape here. So I'm gonna have to zoom out just because I want to get to the rotation tool that I want to use. So there's 3 different rotation tools here. This one is just gonna rotate it about 120 degrees for that bottom part down there. But we need to change the color of that, right? So we need to go to Edit Color, go to 3D View, I'm going to pan down, Edit Color, Eyedropper tool, and then pick that violet there in the background. Alright, so depending on what works best for you, if maybe copy and pasting doesn't work for you, then we can always just go back to the way that we've been doing it, right? So clicking on 3D shapes, color selecting first, and then using the sharp edge tool. But on this outer ring, the way that I found it easier for us to do it is going to be copy and pasting that same shape, since that shape is a little bit more, has some round edges to it, and it does have some corners to it. So I found that if we copy and paste just one shape, then it's a little bit easier and a little bit faster for us to do. Okay, so let's finish off this green, clicking on these corners here. But whatever works better for you, you could go ahead and do that. So there's that green, there's that last secondary color. Now we're going to go ahead and start on our outer ring here. So I'm going to go ahead and focus on one of them. Let's start with our yellow, which is a primary color. So you're going to see some of the same colors out here on the outside that we already did in the middle there. So I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to zoom in really close. And I'm going to color select first, and then I got my 3D shape option selected on top. Still going to the sharp edge tool, but we're going to start up here at this corner of this shape up here. I'm going to hold down Alt and then click to move downward, and then pick that corner down there. Now this is kind of the tricky part here. I'm going to go ahead and pick these different pixelated parts here. There's kind of like little corners here because it's pixelated and we're zoomed in, and I'm clicking every so often so that to create the illusion that this is round. Even though I'm making straight lines here, I'm clicking, and since this is straight, I could skip a lot of these parts, holding down Alt on my keyboard first, then I'm holding down the left mouse button, and then I'm letting go of both of those and going up to this corner. Now I'm just clicking at these little corner edges here, so because it's pixelated, right, that's creating the illusion that there's little corners there, even though there's really not. So I'm clicking off, holding down Alt first on my keyboard to pan, clicking at those corners still, and then I'm clicking where I started. Right, so because I had yellow selected and used that color selection tool, this shape is going to be yellow. I'm going to zoom out so you can see what we did here. So there's that shape. I'm going to go in 3D view so we can see what we did. I'm going to hold down Alt so I could pan. So there's that shape there. So we're going to copy and paste this. Click on this shape. I'm going to right click, copy, right click, paste. So same shape there. Then I'm going to go ahead and rotate this about 30 degrees, and that's my next shape. All I need to do now, right, that shape's already created, we're saving some time here. All I need to do now is go into 3D view, go to edit color in the top right corner, use my eyedropper tool, and select that yellow orange there in the back. Right, so that's why I feel that this is a lot faster. Going back to 3D view, now that I have 2 shapes created, I'm gonna have that first shape selected, hold down Shift on my keyboard, left click on my mouse or trackpad, right click and copy. I'm gonna zoom out here, hold down Alt and my left mouse, right click and paste. All right, there we go. We got two more shapes that I'm going to overlap over here. So that's 30 degrees and 60 degrees. So every time you add a shape, it looks like you're adding an increment of 30 degrees here. So now I got 4 shapes, but I need to change the color of this third and fourth one. I'm going to select that third one first. Going to go in 3D view. I'm going to pan down, edit color, eyedropper tool, and orange. Since I'm over here, I'm going to hold down Alt. I'm going to grab that other shape there, edit color, eyedropper tool, red, orange there, and backing out. So now I have 4 shapes created. I'm going to go ahead and click on all 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to zoom out here so I could copy and paste a little bit easier. Let's see. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create 2 of them, and I'll tell you why right now. So I'm going to go ahead and right-click on both of those, copy, right-click, paste. There they are. I'm going to drag them down a little bit down and use my Z-axis rotation tool. Careful with these other rotation tools. Rotate 60 degrees and then line them up as close as possible. Then I'm going to click on this shape down here, go to 3D view, and we need to make sure this is the color it's supposed to be. Edit color, eyedropper tool, red. Let's do that last one down there since we can still see it. Click on that last shape, edit color, eyedropper tool, and red violet. Alright, I'm going to go back out of 3D view. Now, the reason why I only did 2 shapes instead of 4 is I'm going to click on all of these, hold down shift, click on the next one, hold down shift, and so I'm going to right click, copy, right click, and paste. Now I got all of those created. Again, careful with these rotation tools that you select. The one we want is up here. And I'm going to go ahead and rotate this about 180 degrees to complete this circle here. So go ahead and line those up as best as possible. That looks good. And again, that's the reason why I created just 2 of those shapes there, so I could do the whole half all at once. Alright, so I'm going to go down here to the bottom and let's go ahead and fix these. I'm going to click on that last shape down there at the very bottom. I'm going to pan down so I can see that color there. Edit color, eyedropper tool, make that one violet. We're going to have to rotate around this shape, so I'm going to hold down Alt on my keyboard and then the right mouse button. Click on this shape, edit color, blue, violet. I'm going to start moving upward here. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to click on this shape, edit color, eyedropper tool, start moving up here. This shape here, again, you want to select the shape first, then edit color, eyedropper tool. And then you can kind of see what we are going to do. I'm going to create another ring that around the ring that we just made. And you can kind of see the reason why is because I want you to put your complementary colors next to each other, right? And that's kind of just happened naturally here with the sticker, with the background picture that we have and the color that we just made. So the color that's the opposite of a color on a color wheel is the complementary color. So let's look at these 2 colors up here. I have a yellow on one side of the color wheel, and then I have violet on the opposite side of the color wheel. So again, I want to create a second ring once we get done with that. Once we get done with this, I want to create a second ring so we can have the complementary colors next to each other. But first, let's go ahead and finish these colors off. Let's go back into 3D view, and we're going to change this red. So this red and that green, those are actually complementary colors. But again, we need to finish this ring first. I'm going to edit color, eyedropper tool, make this one green. And then we just have to finish this one here, and then we're going to go to create that second ring there. Select the shape, edit color, eyedropper tool, and then yellow, green. Let's go ahead and zoom out here. All right, so we have our whole color wheel here created. And now what I want to do is I'm going to pan out, and we're going to create that second ring so we could have the complementary colors next to each other. So we're just selecting this outer ring here. All right, there we go. And we're going to right click and copy. And then we're going to right click and paste. And we're going to bring this a little bit forward towards us. So we need to grab this Z-axis position. And let's go and pull it towards us and let go a bit. And we could probably do it a little bit more. Maybe even a little bit more. And I'm going to zoom out. And I'm going to rotate this about 180 degrees here. So I'm going to grab this Z-axis rotation tool. And I want to put the complementary colors next to each other. Yeah, so you're going to rotate this 180 degrees, and now all the complementary colors are next to each other. So I have the violet next to the yellow like we said, and then we have the same thing on the opposite side. I have the blue and orange next to each other, right, and then I have the same thing on the opposite side. So blue and orange are complementary colors. You have the violet and yellow are complementary colors. You have the red and the green are complementary colors. Right, so that's why we wanted to create two rings, so we could create complementary colors next to each other. Now what we could do is we could get rid of the canvas in the background. So go up here to canvas. We want to turn that canvas off, so we just have our color wheel there. You can also pick an angle that you want. Just going to hold down Shift, go in 3D view, hold down Alt, and then right click, so you can pick a different angle when you want to save this, or when you want to send this as an image to me. I'm going to pan downward. So not only did I rotate, but I also pan downward. Maybe zoom out a bit so I could get both of those wheels there. Or you could just turn 3D view off so you could see all of the colors there together. Alright, so what you want to do is you want to save this as a Paint 3D project. So we're going to go up here to Menu, scroll down to Save As. And then you want to save it as a Paint 3D project, because you could always go back and save it as an image, a 3D model, or a video later. So we're going to call this a color wheel 3D. Alright, so after that's saved, after that 3D project is saved, we're going to come back up here to Menu, scroll down to Save As, and then we're going to save this as an image. So click on Image. A PNG file is okay. Again, you can change the view by clicking up here and adjusting the angle and the framing. I'm just going to leave it as this because you can see everything inside the frame anyway. Go over here to Save, and then you want to save this in the folder that we created the project. So I'm going to scroll up and go click on Documents, the academic year we're currently in, the semester we're currently in, the period that you have my class, and the folder for the project that we are creating. And I'm just going to save this as color wheel 3D, and then save. So this would be the file that you sent out to me inside of Microsoft Teams, right? That'll be the file that you upload into Microsoft Teams for this project, for this assignment. So if you have any questions of how to create these shapes using the 3D Shapes tool, the Sharp Edge tool, how to color select, how to rotate some of these shapes to different angles that you might have to rotate some of these shapes, go ahead and let me know. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And feel free to watch any of the other related videos.